Hello, trading is closed on June the 4th, 2021. We always begin with our disclaimer. This is my trading plan for Monday, June the 7th, 2021. I can be completely wrong, so all trades should be at your own risk. Please follow the rules of my channel. And if you like the videos, click like and tell your friends. Look for the pattern with the early low. There it is. Monday should also have the early low. Look for a pattern which would gap smartly in one direction or the other because of the employment report. I don't like to predict the direction. We did say there was resistance at 42.09, so that was killed before the open because we gapped over it. And resistance became support. We also said that wasn't the only number that worked. This pattern looks impressive. It is actually, this is analogous to having a gap with a cup with an up-sloping handle, a stilt with an up-sloping handle, no pullback, it's not required, it tends to break down. And so if we break under this, usually you retrace back to the origin. But I have seen this break up too. It's not an absolute requirement that it break down. It's just a tendency. Now we have some targets from MEJT, 42.2474, most likely to print Monday, and ultimately 42.2252. Unless we gap up smartly, which is entirely possible, that's my call, that we'll see these lower prices. Significance of these prices isn't that they're a bit lower than we are now, it's only a few points. Significance is if we gap under this line and don't reverse it promptly, all of today's gains can be reversed. Early on, we got an ultimate sell signal. We don't have to go lower than this, but we almost always will. It's not required. And then we got another ultimate sell signal in the afternoon. This drop was said not to be sustainable. This rally is called not to be sustainable, and that's how we get the targets. 42.2474, ultimately 42.2252. Now this is just a reminder of what we said. Said the odds favored gapping smartly. I don't like to predict the direction before major reports. So one possibility was to stop and reverse 42.09, but hard to achieve. Not the only way in which things could play out. 42.09 is this gold line here. We gapped over it, so it was never in play. Usually when my ideas don't work, they're killed before the open, so it doesn't cost any money. This count I've had for a while is going to probably fail. I'll keep it for now, but this isn't the kind of strong impulsive move I would expect if that were the end. But today's action actually hits a time target of George Lindsay. I have this rally starting here. The drop from last February was an impulse, so it should be 5 waves, and the first 2 waves down would be 1, 2, and 3. First 3 waves down, the 1, 2, and 3. A 5th wave has to come someplace, and I called it here. And you connect that low with the low of this midpoint, and you get the high right on today's time frame. Doesn't mean it has to work. There are probably other ways to do this too. Just if it works, there's a reason behind it. I can still fiddle around to make this work, particularly when this rally didn't take out this high. But there really is no reason to re-challenge the old high here. Challenging it once and failing, that's fine. But to challenge it again, the more times you challenge it, the more likely it is it'll break higher. But that doesn't mean it has to break higher Monday, and that's all I care about right now. Signals are mixed. And this is the patterns I think we'll see next week. Monday's pattern has the early low. Could still gap up. Signals are mixed. It's positive. We rallied all day. At the low of day in the first 5-minute bar and the high in the last 5-minute bar is bullish. We missed that by a bar. Maybe it's close enough. It isn't too good that the last bar went under the midday high, but the last bar sometimes you can't believe. It can be just position squaring. Signal's kind of muddled. A day-long rally on a Friday nearly always, not always, nearly always follows through at Monday's open. It's quite negative if we gap down strongly instead. And because of the time thing we showed, that's entirely possible, although I'm not predicting it. It's negative that we have lower MEJT targets. Either we gap up smartly or we should see lower prices at some time during the day. These targets aren't a lot lower, but you really want to gap up after a pattern like we had today. The gap up was followed by a line sloping up, has a tendency, not a requirement, to break down. It's negative. We have a divergence at the top with industrials up big, 179 points. Transports are down big, 72 points. It's a major divergence. We hit the time target that we showed, and we closed under the midday low. Now, the commonest thing, I think, would be for a gap open Monday. We've come so close to the all-time high. It really shouldn't take much effort for the gap to be up, resulted in new all-time high, and kill the idea that we saw the top of this move last month. That's the most likely. But if we gap down smartly instead, it's quite negative. At a minimum, I think we erase the gains of today. So all the bulls really have to do is to gap over this and keep coming, and these targets are off the table as far as time, not as far as price. And the rally continues. That's all they have to do, and it isn't really that far away. But if we gap down instead and break this, I'd expect us to retrace all of today's gains and not just these targets before we're done. Pattern Monday has the early low, and that's today's call.